Good evening. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to Hilaal Live. My name is Faraz Patel. We'd like to thank you, the viewer, for staying with us. I'd also like to thank my colleague Luqman Shadrack for taking you through the first part of the show. Now, yesterday was a momentous day that occurred at the Pietermaritzburg High Court because it ruled that anti-apartheid activist Dr Hoosen Haffejee did not hang himself but was tortured to death. Haffejee died in the Brighton Beach police cells in August 1977 after being charged with terrorism by the apartheid government. Joining us now to discuss this, I'd like to welcome the family's lawyer, Anwar Jessop. Mr. Jessop, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah so much for joining us.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my brother. Thank you for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. Mr. Jessop, when the judge was reading out the ruling yesterday, I'm sure that the family, especially his two siblings who really had so much emotion to their face, it really did feel like a sense of justice, didn't it?
Absolutely. I've been with the family now ever since I got involved in the matter, and it's been like 6 or 7 years in the making, up to yesterday, that is. So I can tell you that it was a very difficult journey coming, to reach finality as far as the matter is concerned, a very emotional one. And, considering what they have been through over the years, and I think I said it quite clearly to the judge yesterday at the end when I thanked him on behalf of the family, that it took 46 years for us to get where we are at now. And they were very emotional. It is something that one can't explain or one can't describe to you in words, the emotions that they've been going through. Auntie Sarah, as we call her, Dr. Haffejee's brother, said to me that today her marhum brother must be really happy that his name has been cleared and that he didn't commit suicide and that he was in fact murdered. So it has been emotional. There's been happiness in the sense that the truth has been revealed, but there's sadness in the sense that their family, in other words, the mother, the father, and the late brother Yusuf, is not around to have actually been able to see justice being done at the end of all the atrocities that they've been through over the years.
Mr. Jessop, I want to go to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission because, those were just recommendations that came from those hearings, and so many families still till today feel a sense of injustice that not much was done after the TRC hearings. You being with the family, of course, did they feel a sense of injustice from those TRC hearings that even then, during those mid-90s when the hearings were going on, there could be no closure as to finding out the truth about their brother's murder?
Yes, absolutely. For them, it was a complete sense of injustice. I mean, Auntie Sarah's mother was at the TRC hearings, and she look. The family all along knew, and they strongly believed that their brother, Dr. Hoosen Haffejee, would never have committed suicide. They knew all along that something untoward had happened to him, and it was a sense, it was always a search for the truth. The problem with the TRC and some of the opinions from many people is that for them, and I'll put it bluntly, and they say to me, it was a sham. It was just something that was there. It may have worked in some instances, but many instances, families that demanded justice never got that closure. They were never able to come to terms with what really and truthfully happened to their family members. So as far as the Haffejee family is concerned, it was actually a failure for them.
Mr. Jessop, I want to go to another family, a Muslim family that suffered a very similar fate like this, the Timor family. 6 years ago, I mean, if I stand to be corrected, they actually got a sense of closure and justice to what had happened to the passing of their family member. So we can see, I know it's very slow, but do you feel that the wheels of justice is slowly starting to turn in favor of the victims?
Look, it's interesting you mentioned the Timor matter because I have been in close contact with Imtiaz Kaji, the nephew of Ahmad Timor. And I must say, all credit to Imtiaz firstly, and now that I mention him, because he was the catalyst for opening the doors to these type of proceedings. Had it not been for the Timor matter, I think many families would have been still, in the wilderness, wondering if they will ever get justice. So all credit to Imtiaz and the hard work that he had, and he laid the foundation for all other cases to be reopened as a result of the Timor matter. So, look, yes, there has been some form of closure, perhaps for Imtiaz and his family, but in that particular matter, it is, it may be justice in the one sense, and yes, we have to be grateful for that. But I still say justice delayed is justice denied, and here it has taken so many years for a family to at least get some degree of closure. But at what cost? It's a cost of their having lost their parents, their parents living with heartache, a family completely torn apart. These type of things, many of families that are fortunate not to have experienced these type of atrocities will never understand the heartache and the pain and the trauma emotionally, psychologically, and physically, to what it does to a person and to a family as a whole. So I am strongly of the view that our government too, after post apartheid, dragged their feet in terms of bringing perpetrators to book for the offenses that they have committed. So if you ask me about the delay in these things, to bring these matters to the fore, I would agree with you. In our particular matter, for example, I had to threaten the National Prosecuting Authority with an application to compel them, bring an application to court, that is, to compel them to have these inquests reopened. And only when I did that did they immediately take me seriously and say, well, we now have appointed a judge, and this matter will be reopened, very soon. But had we not done that, it was it's actually a travesty of justice, and the sad reality of that is that the perpetrators, many of them have died, and so you ask yourself, yes, we have closure on the one hand, but it is heartbreaking when our own government, disregarded this, or rather dragged their feet in trying to get these things done as soon as possible. And, we're talking about people who gave their lives for our country, for the democracy that everyone has today. These are people that paid the ultimate price, the ultimate sacrifice, so to speak. So it's yes, justice has been done because the truth has been revealed. But in the same token, it's bittersweet, if I may say so.
Yeah, I was going to say that obviously the perpetrators, there is no accountability because, as you say, most of them, if not all, have passed on. Mr. Jessop, in the Richard Attenborough movie Cry Freedom, I remember Dr. Haffejee's name being there, Timor's name being there, and of course it was all about Steve Biko. This week was the, if I stand to be corrected, the 46th anniversary of Steve Biko's death at the hands of apartheid police also. And you feel that if it's not coincidental, then it was just meant to be that justice had to be served in this very same week when he was killed by apartheid police.
Sorry, can you just repeat the last? I think we broke up
I was saying, Mr. Jessop, that Steve Biko, of course, this was the week that he was killed also by apartheid police. And this is the same week that the Haffejee family gets closure and justice with regards to the murder of their sibling.
Yes, of course. Yeah, perhaps one can say it's Allah's way of bringing justice and closure to the families. We always believe what goes around comes around. The truth will eventually be revealed, and so on. I think for the remaining siblings, it's come full circle. They were at a complete loss. If I may just say to you that earlier in the day, someone contacted me and asked me about the feelings of the family, and I took them back to a point in time where if you place yourself in their shoes and just imagine what it would have been like when they got the news that their brother had passed away under these circumstances, and it took all these years not even knowing where and what happened to him. And when we did an inspection in Loco and went to the Brighton Beach police station, both Auntie Sarah and Uncle Ismail were there, and when they walked into that cells, you can only imagine the emotions, when you see tears in their eyes. It would take someone with a very hard heart not to cry and not to feel the pain that they have felt. So it's a very emotional thing. You know, I won't even do justice by telling you or trying to explain to you how they felt. It's a very, very, very difficult, very painful experience. So I think it's coincidental, yes, possibly, you know, but the point is, I believe this is Allah Ta'ala's work, you know, and we're just glad that we were able to do what we had to try and get peace and closure for the family. And you know, and only Allah knows, and our marhums, those that have passed away, his parents, his brothers, I make dua that Allah, that they themselves know that finally the truth has been revealed. Whilst you know, there are people that were part and parcel of this process over the years, and that it wasn't what everyone said it was, it's suicide and so on, you see.
Mr. Jessop, I've got about 30 seconds. I just wanted to get your take on, is this now a blueprint? Does this now give the NPA more teeth to go ahead and fine perpetrators who committed atrocities in the apartheid government? Do you still believe, as a practicing a legal practitioner, that this can happen, that apartheid perpetrators can still be prosecuted even though we are nearly 30 years into democracy?
Well, you know, many people sometimes will debate and say, we're 30 years into democracy, why bring up the past? But, you know, you've got to look at it subjectively. I mean, we look at these things objectively, and people will say, well, you know, one should pursue these things. And then on the other hand, one would say, well, it has happened so long ago, let's leave it. But here's the lesson that must be learned out of this. And I hope that the prosecuting authorities pursue these particular cases. And it's important for us to know that, and more for the youth of today. You know, I said this in another interview, and I said, our society, our country, especially the youth, need to understand that it took people from all walks of life, all races, whether you are black, white, Indian, or colored. They were individuals from each race group that fought tooth and nail. They made the ultimate, they paid the ultimate sacrifice for the democracy that we have today. And more importantly, for our political leaders to learn from this, because it's pointless singling out race groups and sort of creating division in our society, in our country. That is why in terms of where we are today as a country as a whole, it is important, and this is my view, it is important for our younger generation to acknowledge and learn about the people that have fought for the country that we have, for the democracy that we have, for what they are enjoying today. And, you know, so the lesson from this is not just closure for the family, but it goes deeper than that. And it is about how we move forward into the future. And we can't forget the past. And if we don't learn from the past, we're bound to repeat those mistakes, you know. So it should be a lesson. And that is why the outcome of these type of cases must have a you know, a plethora of benefits, you know, benefits for the families that they got closure. If a perpetrator was still alive, there's a possibility that they will be prosecuted. But more importantly, what can we take from this? What can we learn from this? And I think it's important for all race groups. It's important for all political parties to take cognizance of these cases. And I'll tell you, the truth of the matter is that many people didn't know that people like Dr. Haffejee, Ahmad Timol, and Imam Harun, and people like this have sacrificed their lives for the democracy, that what we fought for. And, you know, so it's important. And I firmly believe that, yes, it is important to do it. And this is what something positive must come out of it.
Mr. Jessop, we'd like to say Jazakallah to you so much for joining us here. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant you barakah in the work that you are doing. And of course, make it easy on the family of Dr. Haffejee, and grant the marhum Jannatul Firdaus, inshallah. Ameen. Jazakallah so much.
Ameen. My brother. Jazakallah to you and to your listeners. I appreciate it. You take good care.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. That is Mr. Anwar Jessop, family lawyer to the Haffejee family. After the break, I speak to Wayne Duvenich from Outa. Andre de Ruyter has been found to have committed misconduct in a private investigation he conducted within Eskom. We speak to him. Is he the scapegoat? That is the Ruyter, or is there more to this? To stay tuned.